Opening shot amid this weekend's massive No Kings rallies and the ongoing controversy surrounding immigration enforcement in Chicago, another little item might have slipped past your radar. That is, the state's largest public school teachers union, the Illinois Federation of Teachers, has a new president. Drum roll. It's a familiar name and face, Stacey Davis Gates, the leader of the Chicago Teachers Union. Unless you think she's been promoted and will leave her high-profile job leading the Chicago Teachers Union, think again. She is going to keep that old post and add in the new one at a potential combined salary of more than $300,000, although a spokesperson for IFT says she will not take her full salary. Now, Davis Gates is no stranger to controversy here in Chicago, leading the city's most powerful political organization. She was instrumental in electing Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to office. And Springfield legislators on both sides of the aisle are perhaps a bit trepidatious today, as Davis Gates has led the charge, demanding nearly $2 billion more in funding for Chicago public schools. Now, Davis Gates has drawn supporters and detractors alike for her pugnacious and often fiery advocacy, and it goes far beyond teachers' salaries and working conditions. She's led the charge to get a generous teachers' labor contract in Chicago, despite concerns that CPS doesn't have the money to pay for it. Under her watch, the teachers' union has become an overtly ideologically far-left institution, taking very public positions against Israel and against the Trump administration's enhanced deportation efforts. What's more, her financial management of the union has come under scrutiny from some members that are now suing her and fellow leaders to produce audits on how their millions in dues have been spent. Will her leadership of the state union lead to better education funding and outcomes across Illinois? That's no doubt the gamble that those members are taking. But with Davis Gates, the fiery and polarizing statements are all part of the package. Tonight, the local leader of ICE speaks out on Broadview, racial profiling, and the controversy surrounding Operation Midway Blitz. Plus, press freedom under fire. Northwestern University holds a media summit as journalists face increasing crackdowns. And the scooter scourge. Why one local hospital says emergency room visits due to scooter accidents are skyrocketing. Hey everyone, welcome to the Chicago Report. I'm Paris Schutz. Federal immigration officials vow that they will follow all federal court rulings on the use of body cams and against excessive force against protesters and journalists as they conduct their raids across the region and as protests heat up outside the Broadview facility. On Friday, I sat down with the newly reappointed Chicago ICE Field Director, Sam Olson, where no question was off limits. I asked him why he won't allow public officials to view the conditions inside the Broadview facility.
When we hear the word detention facility, Broadview isn't a detention facility. We don't hold people there long term. It's essentially, it's a staging facility, it's a processing facility. So when we'll arrest somebody here in the Chicagoland area, we'll bring them to Broadview for their initial processing, and then from there, they'll get transferred to a detention facility where then we can actually provide like the proper level of care where they'll, continue their immigration proceedings.
And you've heard lawyers, advocates, and family members say, well, we can't get in touch with them. We don't know where they are. Are family members and attorneys being informed in terms of where exactly they are and what their conditions are?
Mm-hmm. They are. There's a lot of services that, like when somebody gets arrested by ICE, that we offer. I mean, when somebody gets arrested, they are allowed a phone call, right? They can contact their consulates on that. There's some countries where we have to notify their consulate they've been arrested, right, per the Geneva Convention. Also, there's what we have, it's called the online detainee locator system. Once we arrest somebody, they get put into our systems and we process them, and then the family can look by name and date of birth or even their alien registration number to look to see where they're being housed.
I mean, going back to the facility, you say it's not a detention facility in Broadview. It's kind of like a processing facility. Can public officials, though, get in? Can we get in and see it? What is the holdup to have someone just go in and look at it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like for me, I'm all about transparency. I think that, like I said, when we're not transparent, that's when a lot of maybe rumors or misinformation kind of comes in. At this time, like we have opened up this facility like in the past for people to come in, but the issue now is that when we're kind of undertaking a pretty large operation now, and just to be like operationally, it's probably not operationally feasible at this point to have people come in there.
In Operation Midway Blitz, so you're talking about DHS has said 1,500 or so folks have been detained. Border Czar Homan had said the worst of the worst, violent criminals, but according to the Transaction Records Access Clearinghouse track, 71.5% of those detained did not have criminal convictions. Why is that?
Well, here's the thing, like we go after the worst of the worst. That's what ICE is doing. We're trying to get the worst first and get them off the streets. But during this administration, while we're out there going after the worst of the worst, if we do encounter somebody who is here illegally, we have to take action on those ones too, right? We're not gonna just turn a blind eye to somebody that we encounter who's illegal. Like we will arrest them as well. And so that could be the case.
Customs and Border Patrol Commander Bavino had said publicly comments like, you know, he's basing it off look, he's basing it off a suspicion based off looks, off of certain tells, whether someone grips their steering wheel tighter. What does ICE use as reasonable suspicion to be able to question somebody and then detain them?
Mm-hmm. Our officers are highly trained, right? We go through many-month academy to be able to even get out on the street to perform enforcement operations. And like I said, most of our targeting, what we do is targeted enforcement. So we know a lot about the subject before we even go out into the field. So we're already going to know that somebody's amenable to arrest and amenable to removal from the U.S. And when we're out there doing target enforcement and encounter somebody who's not a target, that's when our officers are trained to how to question, right? They're trained into different indicators that can lead us to suspect that somebody could be here illegally. And sometimes we do use the consensual encounter, and that's just like, you know, any law enforcement officer like has that right. Just like you or I on the street could ask somebody if they want to talk to us. As long as that person feels free to leave, then we're good. Then it's not really a stop at that point.
Do folks have to have their citizenship or their status paperwork on them when ICE stops them?
I don't know. I'd have to look into the law to be sure, but there are, if somebody who is here legally, like an alien who is here legally, usually like a lawful permanent resident, there is statutes that do state exactly what they should have with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen, I mean, obviously you've seen the stories of flower vendors being taken, tamale vendors. We do have all kinds of stories of federal agents basically engaging in chases and engaging in what folks describe as profiling. Is ICE doing that? Are ICE agents profiling people? Are they conducting indiscriminate operations where they did not target somebody, but they might view somebody and say, we have suspicion that this person, we're going to go question this person?
I mean, we don't profile. That's not what we do. We have, I think, in custody in the Chicago AOR, which covers 6 states, we probably have nearly 100 different nationalities detained. Right? We're not profiling a certain nationality. We're not going after somebody from a certain country at all. We're doing targeted enforcement, and there's times when it's not targeted enforcement. We have that reasonable suspicion to do that. Right? We're trained. We know what we can and can't do, and like all of the officers understand that. We go through legal training twice a year just to ensure that we're meeting the law, right? When somebody signs on, like we take an oath, right, to uphold the Constitution. So it's not our job to try to violate like the laws on the books, right? We're enforcing those laws.
Some more legal developments today. The Illinois Attorney General has filed their brief asking the Supreme Court to uphold lower court rulings on a temporary restraining order blocking the deployment of the National Guard. That happened today amid so many other developments here. By the way, you can watch that full interview with the ICE Chicago Field Director on fox32chicago.com or a Fox Local app. And when we come back, Northwestern is set to host scholars from around the world on the crisis of press freedom.